The security camera footage was time-stamped 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. I'd installed the cameras 3 months earlier for peace of mind while I was at work, just a simple system to check on our home, make sure everything was safe. I never expected them to reveal a secret that would unravel everything I thought I knew about my marriage. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Caroline, and until 6 months ago, I believed I had a solid marriage. My husband Ryan and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had a comfortable life in the suburbs, a nice house, 2 cars, a golden retriever named Biscuit. On paper, everything looked perfect. Ryan had worked for his mother's commercial real estate company since before we met. His mother, Diane, owned a successful firm that managed office buildings and retail spaces across the state. She'd built it from nothing after Ryan's father died when Ryan was in college, and she was fiercely proud of what she'd accomplished. Ryan was her vice president of operations, a title that sounded impressive, but that I'd come to realize meant he was basically her assistant who got paid well to do whatever she asked. He managed properties, dealt with tenant complaints, oversaw maintenance crews, and worked long hours that often stretched into evenings and weekends. Diane was complicated. She was a strong, successful businesswoman who'd overcome real hardship. She was also controlling, demanding, and had very specific ideas about how things should be done. Her way or the highway, as they say. In the early years of our relationship, I'd tried to bond with her. I'd invite her to lunch, ask about her business, compliment her achievements. But there was always a wall between us, a coolness that never quite thawed. Caroline works in marketing, she'd say to her friends, making my job at a mid-size advertising agency sound trivial compared to her empire. It's nice that she has a little hobby. A hobby. My career that I'd worked hard for, that paid nearly as much as Ryan made, was a hobby. Ryan would always defend her. That's just how she is. She's from a different generation. She doesn't mean anything by it. But she did mean something by it. She meant that I wasn't quite good enough for her son, that my accomplishments didn't measure up, that I was somehow lesser. Still, I tolerated it. Family is complicated, and I loved Ryan. I could handle a difficult mother-in-law if it meant being with him. Then, about 8 months ago, something changed. Ryan came home from work one evening looking shell-shocked. He sat down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately worried. "I can't do it anymore, Caroline. I can't work for my mother anymore." This was new. Ryan had complained about work before, long hours, demanding clients, his mother's exacting standards, but he'd never said he wanted to quit. What happened? She undermined me in front of the entire management team today. I presented a proposal for renovating the Riverside Plaza, something I'd been working on for months. She let me give the whole presentation, and then she just eviscerated it. Told everyone it was impractical, too expensive, poorly thought out. She made me look like an idiot. "I'm so sorry, honey." The worst part is, 3 weeks ago, she told me the proposal was excellent. She approved it. Then today she acted like it was garbage. I think. He paused, looking almost scared to say it. I think she does it on purpose. Keeps me off balance. Makes sure I can never feel confident or successful without her approval. I'd seen this pattern for years, though Ryan had always made excuses for it. Hearing him finally acknowledge it felt like progress. "So what do you want to do?" "I want to quit. I want to find another job, work for someone else. I'm good at what I do, Caroline. I could get hired somewhere else. Then do it. Quit." He looked at me with surprise. "Just like that? You're okay with it?" "Ryan, I've been watching you be miserable for years. If you want to leave, leave. We'll be fine financially while you look for something else. That night, Ryan drafted his resignation letter. 2 weeks' notice, professional and courteous. He was nervous when he went in to give it to Diane the next morning. He called me 3 hours later, and I could hear the relief in his voice. She took it better than I expected. She was surprised, maybe a little hurt, but she said she understood. She even said she was proud of me for standing on my own 2 feet. That's great, honey. I'm proud of you too. The next 2 weeks were Ryan's last at Diane's company. He came home each evening looking lighter, more relaxed than I'd seen him in years. He started job hunting, sending out resumes, networking with former colleagues who'd moved on to other firms. And then his last day came. We celebrated with a nice dinner out, toasting to new beginnings and freedom from family business drama. How does it feel? I asked, raising my wine glass. It feels amazing. Like I can finally breathe. I should have done this years ago. That was 6 months ago. And for the first month, everything seemed perfect. Ryan slept later, since he didn't have to be at the office by 7 a.m. anymore. He went to the gym, something he'd never had time for when working for Diane. He networked, had lunch meetings with potential employers, sent out applications. Any good leads? I'd ask when I got home from work. A few possibilities. Nothing concrete yet, but I've got some promising conversations happening. I wasn't worried. Ryan was talented and experienced. He'd find something soon. But then the 2nd month passed, and the 3rd, and Ryan still didn't have a job. The market's tough right now, he'd say. Commercial real estate took a hit during the pandemic, and it hasn't fully recovered. But something will come through. I started noticing small changes. Ryan was home when I left for work in the morning and home when I got back in the evening, but the house wasn't any cleaner. Dishes would be left in the sink, laundry would pile up, the dog wouldn't be walked. What did you do today? I'd ask, trying to keep my tone light. Oh, applications, some calls. It's exhausting, actually. The job search is like a full-time job itself. But he didn't look exhausted. He looked content. Relaxed. Like someone on a permanent vacation. By month 4, I started to feel uneasy. We were burning through our savings. My salary covered our mortgage and basic expenses, but not much else. We'd had to cut back on dinners out, postpone the bathroom renovation we'd been planning. Ryan, maybe you should consider taking something temporary. Just while you look for the right position. I'm not going to take some random job that's beneath my experience level, Caroline. I have a reputation in this industry. I need to be strategic. By month 5, the unease had turned into frustration. Ryan spent most days on the couch, scrolling through his phone or watching TV. The job search seemed to have stalled completely. Did you apply to that position at Meridian Properties? I asked one evening. You said it was perfect for you. I looked into it. They want someone with a different background. Did you apply? No point if I'm not qualified. Ryan, you won't know if you're qualified unless you try. I know this industry, Caroline. I'm not going to waste my time on applications that will go nowhere. We started fighting more. About money, about the job search, about the housework that wasn't getting done even though he was home all day. I'm not a housewife, he snapped during one argument. I'm in between jobs. That's different. I'm not asking you to be a housewife. I'm asking you to contribute. I'm working 10-hour days and then coming home to a messy house and no dinner. I'm dealing with the stress of unemployment, and you're worried about dishes. It was during one of these arguments that I made the decision to install security cameras. Not because I thought Ryan was doing anything wrong, exactly. More because I wanted to understand what he was actually doing all day. Was he really job hunting like he claimed? Was he depressed and struggling to function? Did he need help that I wasn't providing? I bought a simple system, 3 cameras that connected to an app on my phone. One for the front door, one for the backyard, one for the living room. I told Ryan I was installing them for security after there had been some break-ins in the neighborhood. Whatever you think is best, he said, barely looking up from his phone. I didn't plan to spy on him. I really didn't. But after a particularly frustrating week, where Ryan claimed to have had multiple phone interviews, but somehow never seemed to be on the phone when I called during the day, I opened the app. The cameras had been recording for 3 days. I started with the most recent footage, Thursday afternoon while I was at work. At first, everything looked normal. Ryan was on the couch, laptop open, seemingly working. Then around 11 a.m., my timestamp showed him getting up, letting Biscuit out, making a sandwich. He settled back on the couch with his lunch, but instead of opening his laptop, he turned on the TV and started watching a movie. I fast-forwarded. The movie ended. Ryan scrolled on his phone for a while. Then he fell asleep on the couch for nearly 2 hours. I felt a surge of anger. This was what he was doing while I was at work. While we were draining our savings. Watching movies and napping. But then, at 2:47 p.m., something happened that changed everything. The doorbell rang on camera. Ryan got up to answer it. And there, on my front porch, was Diane. She was holding a grocery bag, smiling warmly, an expression I'd rarely seen her direct at anyone. Ryan hugged her and let her in. They walked to the kitchen, out of the living room camera's view. I switched to the front door camera, which had an angle into part of the kitchen. They were talking, but the camera didn't pick up audio. I watched as Diane unpacked the grocery bag, containers of what looked like homemade food. Ryan was smiling, gesturing animatedly as he talked. Then Diane pulled out her checkbook. I watched her write a check and hand it to Ryan. He looked at it, nodded, and put it in his pocket. Then they hugged again, and she left. The whole visit lasted maybe 15 minutes. I sat in my office, staring at my phone, my heart pounding. What had I just watched? I scrolled back through the footage from the previous days. And there it was, a pattern I'd completely missed. Monday, Diane visited at 3 p.m. Grocery bag, conversation, check. Tuesday, no visit, but Ryan left the house at 2 p.m. and returned at 4 p.m. I checked the front door camera footage, and saw him getting into Diane's car in the driveway. Wednesday, Diane visited again, at 2:30 p.m. Same routine. Food, conversation, check. I went back further, to the first week I'd installed the cameras. The pattern was there every single week. Sometimes Diane came to our house, sometimes Ryan went to her. But they were meeting regularly, multiple times a week. And she was giving him money. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. All these months, Ryan had been telling me he'd quit his mother's company, that he was striking out on his own, that he was job hunting. But he was still taking money from her. Still seeing her constantly. And lying to me about it. I left work early, something I never did. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing with questions and anger and hurt. Ryan was on the couch when I walked in at 3:30, earlier than my usual 6 p.m. return. He looked up, startled. "You're home early. We need to talk." Something in my voice made him sit up straight. "What's wrong?" "I've been watching the security camera footage." His face went pale. "Caroline. Your mother was here today. She gave you a check. She was here Monday too. And last week. How long has this been going on, Ryan? He opened his mouth, closed it, then, it's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Because what I think is that you've been lying to me for 6 months. I'm not lying. I did quit my job. But you're still taking her money. You're still seeing her all the time. What, she's paying you under the table to do work for her while you pretend to me that you've moved on? No. It's not work. She's just helping us out. Financially. While I look for a new job. I stared at him. You've been taking money from your mother and not telling me. I knew you'd react like this. I knew you'd make it into a big deal. It is a big deal, Ryan. We are supposed to be partners. We make financial decisions together. You don't get to secretly take money from your mother without discussing it with me. We needed it. You said yourself we are burning through savings. So we should have talked about it. Maybe I would have been okay with it if you'd been honest. But you lied. 4 months, you've been lying to me about where you're going and what you're doing. Ryan stood up, defensive now. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing. What else haven't you told me? He was quiet, and I saw guilt flash across his face. What else, Ryan? I haven't really been job hunting. Not seriously. I felt the air leave my lungs. What? I sent out some applications at first, but then I don't know. I lost motivation. And Mom said she'd support us for a while, give me time to figure out what I really want to do. Time to figure out what you want to do. You're 34 years old. And what about what I want? What about our life? What about it? We are fine. Mom's money is covering the gap. We are not fine. I'm working myself to death while you sit on the couch all day. I come home exhausted and there's nothing for dinner, and the house is a mess and you're just what? Hanging out. Living off your mother's money like a teenager. It's temporary. Just until I figure things out. Figure what out? You said you wanted to work in commercial real estate. You have experience, connections, a whole career. What is there to figure out? He sank back onto the couch, and suddenly he looked very young. I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Working for Mom was miserable, but the whole industry reminds me of her. Every building, every lease, every tenant issue, it all just brings back how she made me feel. Small. Incompetent. Like I could never measure up. My anger softened slightly. Ryan, I understand that. I do. But running away from it and taking her money, that's not solving anything. That's just trading one form of dependence for another. You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to spend your whole life trying to earn someone's approval, and never getting it. To have a mother, who built this empire, and constantly reminds you that you could never do what she did. You're right, I don't understand that. But I do understand that you've been lying to me for half a year. That you've been making major decisions about our life without including me. That you've been letting your mother support us while telling me you're independent from her. I was going to tell you. When? When were you going to tell me? When we are completely financially dependent on her. When she has so much power over us that we can't make any decisions without her approval. That stopped him. It's not like that. Isn't it? Ryan, what do you think happens when someone gives you money regularly? They gain influence. They gain control. Your mother already thinks she knows better than everyone else. What do you think she's going to expect in return for this money? She doesn't expect anything. She's my mother. She wants to help. Your mother doesn't do anything without expecting something. You know that. You spent 8 years working for her, you know exactly how she operates. I sat down on the chair across from him, suddenly exhausted. I need you to be completely honest with me right now. What exactly is your arrangement with her? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then, she gives me $4,000 a month. It's supposed to cover the gap between your salary and our expenses, plus give us a little cushion. She brings me food a couple times a week, because she says I need to eat properly. And we talk. About her business, about what I want to do, about life. Does she ask about me? About our marriage? His silence was answer enough. What does she say about me, Ryan? It doesn't matter. What does she say? He sighed. She thinks you're too focused on your career. That you're pushing me to get a job before I'm ready. That you don't understand the pressure I was under working for her. And what do you say when she says these things? I don't really say anything. She's my mom, Caroline. I can't exactly tell her to mind her own business. Yes, you can. That's exactly what you should tell her. Ryan, she's poisoning you against me. Can't you see that? She's not poisoning me. She's giving you money, which makes you dependent on her. She's spending time with you multiple times a week, talking about how I'm the problem. She's creating a situation where you're more loyal to her than to me, your wife. That's not true. Isn't it? You've been lying to me for months to protect your relationship with her. You've been taking her side over mine. Ryan stood up, angry now. There are no sides. Why does everything have to be a competition between you and my mother? Because she's made it one. From the moment we got together, she's been trying to prove that I'm not good enough for you, that I'm too career-focused, too independent, too something. And now she's got you taking her money and listening to her talk badly about me, and you think there are no sides. You're being paranoid. Am I? Let me ask you something. If I told you right now that you have to choose, either stop taking her money and go back to seriously job hunting, or we separate, what would you choose? Ryan's face went white. You're not serious. I'm completely serious. Because I can't be in a marriage where my husband is financially dependent on his mother and lying to me about it. I can't compete with her for your loyalty. So choose. Caroline, that's not fair. Choose, Ryan. He looked at me, and I saw real fear in his eyes. I need to think about it. Those words broke something in me. The fact that he had to think about it. That the choice between his wife and his mother's money wasn't immediately obvious. Take all the time you need, I said quietly. I'm going to stay at Emma's for a few days. Emma was my best friend from college. I called her from the car, and she immediately told me to come over. I packed a bag while Ryan sat on the couch, looking shell-shocked. Caroline, please don't go. We can work this out. Can we? Because from where I'm standing, you're not willing to be honest with me, you're not willing to set boundaries with your mother, and you're not willing to be a partner in this marriage. So what exactly are we working out? I love you. I love you too. But love isn't enough when there's no trust, no honesty, no partnership. I left. Biscuit tried to follow me, and I had to hold back tears as I told her to stay. At Emma's house, I finally let myself fall apart. I told her everything, the cameras, the secret visits, the money, the lies. Oh, honey, Emma said, holding me while I cried. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to go back, wants to believe he'll change. But Emma, he had to think about it. When I asked him to choose between our marriage and his mother's money, he had to think about it. Some people are so enmeshed with their parents that they can't see straight. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. But it means he doesn't love me enough. Or respect me enough. or value our marriage enough. I stayed at Emma's for 3 days. Ryan called and texted constantly at first, then less frequently. By day 3, I hadn't heard from him in 12 hours. When I finally went back home, I found Ryan sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers in front of him. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he said. "And you're right. About all of it." "Okay." I called my mom and told her I can't take her money anymore. I told her that it was hurting my marriage, and that I need to stand on my own 2 feet. How did she take it? Not well. She said I was being ungrateful. That you were controlling me, making me choose between you and her. That she was just trying to help and you were too proud to accept it. And what did you say? I told her that she was wrong. That you've been nothing but supportive of me, and that I'm the one who messed up by lying to you. I told her that if she wants to be part of our lives going forward, she needs to respect my marriage and respect you. I felt tears starting. Really? Really? And I've been looking at these job listings. Really looking at them. Not just in commercial real estate, but in property management, facilities management, even some corporate real estate positions that are different from what I was doing. I've already applied to 6 positions in the last 3 days. Ryan. I know I've been a coward. I know I let my fear of my mother and my fear of failure paralyze me. I know I betrayed your trust. And I know I need to earn it back. So I'm going to. However long it takes. We talked for hours that night. Really talked, in a way we hadn't in months. Ryan told me about how working for Diane had slowly eroded his confidence, how every day he'd felt like a failure, how quitting had felt like freedom, but also like falling into a void. I didn't know who I was if I wasn't her employee, he admitted. My whole adult life has been about trying to live up to her standards, trying to make her proud. When I quit, I lost my entire sense of identity. And instead of building a new one, I just floated. Taking her money, avoiding the job search, pretending everything was fine. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? Because I was ashamed. You're so capable, so independent. I didn't want you to see me as weak. Ryan, asking for help isn't weak. Lying and hiding things, that's what damages relationships. If you told me you were struggling with your identity, with figuring out your next step, we could have worked through it together. I know that now. Over the next several weeks, things slowly started to change. Ryan threw himself into the job search with genuine effort. He redid his resume, reached out to his network, practiced for interviews. He started seeing a therapist to work through his issues with Diane and his own self-worth. And he got a job. Not in commercial real estate, but as a facilities director for a large hospital system. It was a good position, with decent pay and benefits, doing work that was adjacent to his experience, but different enough to feel like a fresh start. The first day he came home from his new job, he was energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. "How was it?" I asked. "It was great. Really great. My boss is supportive, the team is collaborative, and I actually feel like I'm contributing something meaningful. Healthcare facilities are so different from commercial real estate, there's a real sense of purpose. I'm proud of you. Thank you for not giving up on me. For calling me out when I needed it, even though it was hard." But the situation with Diane remained complicated. She'd called a few times after Ryan told her he couldn't take her money anymore, leaving voicemails that ranged from hurt, "I don't understand why you're shutting me out," to angry, "That wife of yours has turned you against your own mother," to manipulative, "I'm not feeling well. And it would help to see you." Ryan didn't return most of the calls. When he finally did call her back, 2 weeks after starting his new job, he set clear boundaries. "Mom, I love you. But I need you to understand that Caroline is my wife and my partner. When you criticize her or try to come between us, it hurts my marriage. And I'm not going to let that happen anymore. According to Ryan, Diane hung up on him. She didn't call back for 3 weeks. When she finally did, her tone was different, not warm, exactly, but less hostile. I've been thinking about what you said. I don't agree with all of it, but I understand that you need to prioritize your marriage. I can respect that. It wasn't an apology, and it wasn't exactly acceptance of me. But it was a start. We set up a dinner at a neutral restaurant, Ryan, me, and Diane. It was awkward, tense, with long silences and careful conversation. But it was civil. Your new job sounds interesting, Diane said to Ryan, her tone suggesting it was anything but. It is. I'm enjoying it. And Caroline, how's your marketing work? It's going well. I just got promoted to senior account director, actually. Congratulations, she said, and I almost believed she meant it. Small steps. That's all we could manage. Small steps toward something that might eventually resemble a healthy relationship. That was 4 months ago. Now, Ryan has been at his new job for 6 months and is thriving. He comes home energized, talks about his projects, feels valued and respected. His confidence has returned, and with it, the man I fell in love with. Our marriage is stronger than it's been in years. We are in couples counseling, working through the trust issues and communication problems that the whole situation exposed. We are learning to be honest with each other, even when it's uncomfortable. My name is Caroline, and my husband quit working for his mother, but the secret I found on camera almost destroyed my marriage. But we survived. We fought for each other. And we are building something stronger than what we had before. The cameras are still there, by the way. Not because I don't trust Ryan anymore, but because we agreed on complete transparency. He has access to the footage too. It's our way of saying, no more secrets, no more lies, nothing hidden. And that openness, that radical honesty, has changed everything. If this story resonated with you, if you've dealt with a controlling mother-in-law, financial secrets in your marriage, or the struggle to set boundaries with family, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed your relationship? How did you handle it? Let's support each other through these difficult situations. Thank you for listening, and remember, the truth may hurt, but lies hurt more. Choose honesty, even when it's hard.